Good morning, everyone. I'm Charlotte Lehman, and this is Good Morning Especially. Have you seen the meme, Good Morning to Everyone Except? This podcast is the opposite. Instead of except, we're saying especially. The world can be a tough place, so every weekday in January, or maybe forever, depending on how this limited series goes, we are here to start your day with some positivity and gratitude. Good morning to everyone, especially my parents. I am really lucky to have great parents. The older I get, the more I realize just how lucky I am. My parents would do anything for their children. I have never once doubted that my parents love me very much, and I feel so fortunate to have that security. This manifests in a lot of ways. My dad has helped me move at least 10 times, but probably more. I've really lost count just in the past decade. Several of those moves were 2,000 miles across the country between New York and Colorado. He's helping my sister move to Chicago this weekend. He took my youngest sister on a month-long cross-country road trip last summer. Actually, I guess it was international since they did cross the border into Canada at one point. My dad is always down to travel to help his kids, no matter how far the drive or how short the notice. My mom is the most creative person I know. She literally made her own wedding dress and tatted the lace for her own veil. And I can't even count the number of socks she has knit for me. This past weekend, my cousin got married and my mom sort of saved the wedding. When there was a gown catastrophe a month before the wedding, she volunteered to make my cousin a new dress. But that wasn't all. She also knit shawls for my cousin and all of her bridesmaids, made the cake, and insisted on making me a dress, even though I repeatedly told her she didn't have time. And she did not have time, but she made the time. I don't know how, but she did, because that's the kind of mom she is. An aunt too, apparently. I fully intend for her to make my future wedding dress. I don't have a man yet, but I do have a wedding dress pattern picked out, and my mom said she would be honored to make it someday. Basically, my parents are the bomb. And yes, I know, calling something or someone the bomb does make me sound like an out-of-touch millennial. The house I'm currently in is old, like really, really old. It's one of those Sears Roebuck houses, and my great-grandfather actually built it. It's never left the family, and I really hope it never does. But like many old houses, especially one that hasn't been lived in for a few years, it has some problems. Big problems. And of course, we don't know about those problems until they very suddenly and very expensively arise. This week, the problem is the plumbing. I noticed a leak a couple nights ago, and my parents came over the very next day to investigate. Without getting too graphic, it was gross. Really, really, really gross. Instead of leaving it all up to me to deal with, they cleaned it up and insisted I keep working to get all my hours in for the day. I didn't even know how bad it was until afterward. And then this morning, my dad called the experts first thing. He came over to the house twice to meet and talk with the plumbers. We made a plan for how to deal with it. I get overwhelmed really easily, and when I get overwhelmed, I tend to freeze, and I have a lot of trouble getting the things that need to be done. Not only did I not have to navigate this new and really frustrating situation on my own, but I also had the peace of mind of knowing I wasn't doing it on my own. There are so many great examples of my parents just being awesome. When I was attacked by someone on the street, they jumped in the car and were on their way to me within about a half hour, even though I was a 6-hour drive away. Then they stayed for a whole week. That's always the example that sticks out most in my mind, but of course it's not the only one. In a bit of a lighter example, my mom continues to try for Taylor Swift Eras Tour tickets for my youngest sister and me every time they're released. And of course my parents didn't do everything right, whatever right means when you're parenting anyway, and they have made mistakes. They are only human. But in every way that has truly mattered, my parents have been there. I can always count on my parents for their help and for their love. Good morning to everyone, especially my mom and dad. I'm Charlotte Lehman, and this is Good Morning Especially. Every day we're here to tell everyone good morning, especially to a certain someone. This podcast is a group project, or hopefully will be, so I want to hear who you're saying good morning to. You can email us at goodmorningespeciallypod@gmail.com. You can either write out your good morning especially or record it in a voice memo and send it in. I cannot wait to hear who you're saying good morning to.